the guy that is married to Gloria Navarro. That's just amazing. How these criminals are a bunch of hypocrites in suits and ties from the Ivy League schools of the American Bar Association. What's so ironic about this is that he's continuing to go after, saying conspiracy. But who are the conspiracies?
Okay, you need more light. Get in the light.
And
the more conspiracies, the most horrible conspirators are obviously the ones controlling our system.
come forward just a little bit more, would you? You got a shadow right across you.
They manipulate the laws that we have in place.
A little more.
We're meant to protect us, but in
Move over
reality,
just a little
all
bit.
they do
So,
is
let's see if that gets it.
keep us.
You're in the dark.
restricted. They keep us from movement. From free will, free action, free agency. But that's. I mean, today's case, my case, isn't really much like other cases involving firearms. They're using my case. They're going a little bit further to prosecute and use these tactics, these conspiracy tactics against me to silence me. This is all a tactic to, it's a fear tactic and intimidation to get me to silent, to get me to silent.
Okay, you two. Put your back up there so it's
All right, let's do this. Yeah, let's stand by
This
these
is
two judges right here.
for Shawna Cox.
Oh, that's yeah, that looks really good. Good lighting. Thanks, Shawna.
So, it's funny. I would like to go to their financial disclosure forms. Every single criminal, DA, American Bar Association, anybody that has investments into their 401k, I would like to have access to all their records regarding their investments in pharmaceutical companies and foster care agencies and child protective services and prisons, lights, cigarettes, pillowcases, beds, also the power and light company. Because at the end of the day, when people go into these corrupt institutions that are incarcerated, unlawfully incarcerated, well, guess what? It's $30,000 per prisoner, right?
Yeah.
So if there's $30,000 per prisoner, don't they have a financial gain, a financial interest in incarcerating and silencing the American people?
Thank you, Nancy.
That's the scary thing about this is that there's a profit motive. There's an incentive to incarcerate. That's why we have prosecutors that are pushing so hard to incarcerate. They abolish mandatory minimum sentences and push for the full 8-year, 40-year maximum sentence.
Is this what Donald Trump was saying about the swamp? About the level of corruption of the American Bar Association and its members? Because every person in here, probably majority of them are bar members. And the judge. So if the judge is a bar member and your DA is a bar member and your attorney is a bar member, well, is that a conflict of interest?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a conflict of interest there.
So where do you get the justice?
There's none.
So it's a more monetary game.
This is dead. This no longer exists. This is just lip service when we talk to the judge or when the judge mentions the Constitution. So
well, this is going to be amazing because right now I'm happy to be here. I'm so ecstatic because I want to see that judge, that corrupt judge, because I'm going to call it corrupt judge until otherwise. And I have the tenacity and the audacity to call her corrupt judge. He or she, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, the supreme law of the land is the Constitution by our founding fathers on Article 6, Section 2, Clause 2 of the United States Constitution. So these corrupt bar members that continue to go after people like yourselves that support the Bundys and the Finnegans, those are the ones that we, the people, need to go after. These are the criminals that we should hold accountable. Matter of fact, Clive Bundy read a passage with regards to the judges of good faith, good conduct. If we don't hold these corrupt judges, if we don't hold these corrupt judges accountable, then who will? This is what I'm saying. I'm telling the American people: you gotta stop watching entertainment. You gotta stop going and being entertained by Hollywood, by sports, by alcohol. You know what? At the end of the day, while you're in a couch or laying in bed, these criminals here are violating your constitutional rights. This is why they're dumbing down the institutions. They're dumbing down the institution by taking the Declaration of Independence away, by the Federalist Papers, the Constitution, and your Bill of Rights. They no longer want to teach that because as long as you continue to lay in bed and on a couch and dumb down, well, they can easily run to the bank at your taxpayers' expense.
Did you say Easley?
Easily.
E-A-S-L-E-Y.
And Laz is exactly correct.
The second, yes. I'm sorry.
The battle that we've been fighting, and that we just won one of the battles on January the 7th. 8th. Right, that's right, January the 8th. Is just the groundwork to help you know that you can restore this Constitution. And we have to do it by doing things that Josh is doing, stepping up and making the difference. And he is a great hero because it's the fight that we have to all do and engage in. We cannot sit back and watch like that Laz says. Get out of bed, stop watching football games. There's many more important things to do than all this entertainment they're keeping us dumbed down with. Pay attention. Read the Constitution. It's so simple. And the Founding Fathers gave their lives for it. These men have just spent 2 years in prison to show you that you have a right and that you can stand up for the Constitution. Now's the time to move. We have to start engaging.
Yeah, and good morning, Rachel. It wasn't really a complete victory in court yesterday because they just kicked it down the road. They don't stand to account now because it wasn't brought to acquittal by a jury. So in a sense, they're really covered themselves up by dismissal, even with a prejudice.
Sure, they did. They took the light from the truth and they buried it because they wanted to save themselves from the sinking ship.
Yes.
And so they didn't want us to have a glorious. They knew that they were going to be acquitted. They knew that, and they had to get rid of it as fast as possible because they were going down with the ship. So this judge manipulated that so that to take the less light upon them because they weren't even going to allow criminal charges to be brought against the prosecutors or any of the attorneys that were being criminal, including the judge.
Yes.
And so she's dancing around trying to bury this so that it goes away and we all forget about it. We're not going to forget it.
Sounds like that old dance. What do they call it? The tortoise two-step, wasn't it? I've turned y'all away from the light.
It's in a
Not
way,
figuratively.
for those that continue to stay down and lay down on the couch, it's kind of our fault. What we did here in Nevada, especially in Oregon, coming together, everybody coming together and playing their own role, because every role has been extremely important, vital to this movement. We send our military, as I stated before, we send our military to fight for freedom. Land of the free, home of the brave. Well, if that is the case, if we are land of the free, right, quote unquote, land of the free, then what the hell are we doing prosecuting Americans? Americans prosecuting Americans, or let me say, corrupt American bar members prosecuting Americans.
They're not Americans because they're actually foreign agents. Exactly. It's part of the occupation, and we've seen that for all our lives and for generations. We've lived under an occupation, and that may sound different or may not be understood by some people, but we are actually under an occupying force from the federal government.
Great Britain are the same people that we fought for in the Revolutionary War. Yes. Won our freedom.
And we're sending our military to fight for freedom. They take an oath to the Constitution, not to the American Constitution.
I'm sorry. You're fine. You're fine.
To the Constitution. And yet these bar members take another oath, and their oath supersedes the Constitution. Well, what the hell are we doing sending our military overseas fighting for freedom when the war is here? When the war is against these corrupt lobbyists, politicians, judges, lawyers, and corporations, banks. The war is here. The war is not overseas. Iran, Iraq, North Korea, they never created the Bureau of Land Management, they never created the Department of Fish and Wildlife, they never created the Department of U.S. Forestry, they never created Child Protective Services, they never,
National Education
System. Who was behind all this? Members of the American Bar Association, politicians. So the war is here. We no longer need to send our military overseas when the war is here within our own soil against these criminals. Until you start being active, we all have to be active. We all have to come back and get the Constitution and start reading the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. Not just this pocket Constitution, but any Constitution. Go to Washington, D.C. and grab yourself a Constitution, an original copy, or order it. But at the end of the day, it's about empowering yourself and being knowledgeable.
And hold them to their own staff, their own rules, the state laws that they've created.
That's really our only chance of fighting, is to be able to actually hold them to their own rules that they've set to hold against us. And it's a definite a big battle. And
they should make a rule that they are unwilling to follow.
Yeah.
How can they make rules for everybody else and not them? They're not an elite group.
Well, we've seen a great bunch of folks that are part of the bar that is really fighting it, and I put them on the spot and asked them who was there really to fight against the corruption of the bar. But
well, you know, restitution. Y'all talk about restitution.
I'm sorry, let me interrupt you. I'm down to 15%, so I used up all this battery already. So I'm going to get you guys to. All right, so I'm going to let you guys. Let's round this up, and I'm going to go back and get my battery pack. So, Laz, go ahead.
With respect to restitution, well. Dickerson, right? That's the name? If Dickerson is willing to skew or corrupt the judicial system, shouldn't the people seize his assets and pay Joshua Martinez restitution? Shouldn't Rory Reed, Harry Reid, Gloria Navarro, Brian Rutledge, Dean Heller, and Mark Amodi, and the other criminals, and Steve Beverland, should also have their property confiscated and pay restitution to the political prisoners in the Bundy family? I mean, if they're willing to create laws about restitution, well, where's the restitution? Why should the taxpayers pay for their criminal, the criminal intent of conspiracy? Either to the Bundys or to Joshua Martinez.
Thanks, Laz.
Thank you.
You got a bunch of good comments and shout-outs there, all three of y'all.
Thank you all for following and those who are giving kind words and supporting me. I read your messages, and I'm thankful to have a lot of people behind all of this. I mean, the whole movement, we're all together. It's one big family that's fighting together.
Yeah, we love you, Josh. Yeah, we're real proud of your stand. And you know what? I've said it before, and I'll say it again. You give me a bit of a shaming when I seen the kindness that and the wisdom that you used when the Turtle Man came out there, and you're educating them. Made me real proud.
The way our side is, by being kind to them,
yeah.
They'll see and they'll eventually join us.
Awesome.
That's right, because remember, this is God's country, right? The land of the great home of the